When I watch these types of movies, all I want for 2 hours is to see monsters fighting, no dialogue, no humans. I don't want none of that. Did I get that in this movie? No, but it was still entertaining. The Monsterverse has to be the worst cinematic universe to live in because how many people have died in these movies? We're talking spoilers, by the way. Godzilla and Kong the New Empire is a movie that I wasn't really excited for, but I'll always take 2 hours out of my day to see a bunch of monsters fight each other. The main criticism with all these films is that they spend too much time focusing on humans instead of the monsters that we all want to see. I really enjoyed Godzilla King of Monsters, but I hated every time they cut to Millie Bobby Brown and her family because I don't care about them. All I want to see is Godzilla punch a Hydra in the face for 45 minutes. But with this movie, as expected, we did get a lot of scenes from the human characters, but I didn't mind because I actually thought they were kind of interesting. Like, I didn't hate them as much as some people on the internet, but granted, my brain was turned off for 2 hours. I watched Godzilla suplex a monkey in Egypt surrounded by pyramids. I almost gave this a 10 out of 10 just for that. The story of the movie wasn't that great, but it was interesting enough to keep my attention. Rebecca Hall and Brandon Tyree Henry are back for their roles. Dan Stevens plays Trapper. I can't remember if he was in one of the other movies or not. And we also have Kayla Hoddle back. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but she was just in this movie to be adorable. Like, she always has this look on her face like she's sad or she's about to cry. That's all she does for 2 hours. But her character is drawing all these weird images, but nobody really knows what they mean. We see Godzilla moving around, he's getting active, so all they know is something is wrong. Brandon Tyree's character and the crew discover that these weird images are actually a distress signal coming in from Hollow Earth, so our team of humans come flying in. The reason for the distress signal is because the big bad villain, the Scar King, wants to reach the surface to get revenge on Godzilla and basically rule the Earth. That's the SparkNotes version of this story, and this movie pretty much comes down to how much do you care about the fighting versus how much do you care about the story. Usually when it comes to movies and video games, the thing that I love the most is good writing. But in this type of film, I don't care. I don't know the lore of Godzilla. I don't know the lore of King Kong and these other monsters. Like, when it comes to the story of this, there are a lot of issues that I could point out, but at the end of the day, all I cared about was, does this entertain me? And it did. The best part of the movie, you probably guessed it, the fighting. The fighting was amazing when they actually showed it. I'm being dead serious when I say that. It was one scene that almost made me scream out loud, but I'm saying that in a good way. When King Kong discovered the other groups of monkeys, he came across 3 grown monkeys and a baby one. He whipped the 3 grown monkeys' ass, and then he took the baby and started using him to slap the other monkeys. The main reason people watch these films is for the monsters, and the fights are by far the best part of this movie. This might be a little controversial, but I live my truths. Honestly, I think King Kong is pussy, but this is pretty much his movie. He's the star of the show. Even with no dialogue, he's able to give us a full range of emotions. He's able to give us kindness, anger, confusion, sadness. He's a fully rounded character. But when it comes to Godzilla, he don't care about none of that. This man is on go at all times. The only time he moves is when he's ready to fight somebody. When it comes to things that I liked about this movie, that's pretty much it. Like, when it comes to the humans, I don't think they were as bad as some people on the internet are making them out to be, but they were just okay. The jokes were okay. The logic of some of these scenes were so stupid, but once again, turn your brain off. It was some points in this movie where you could tell that the writers didn't know how to get from point A to point B, so they just made everything convenient. Oh, we just so happen to have this Power Glove prototype that's completely built. We just so happen to know where it is at this exact outpost. We just so happen to have this extra ship that's able to carry the Power Glove back to where the rest of the team is. We just so happen to have this green liquid that when we inject it into Kong, is gonna cure his frostbite. Turn your brains off. Now, when it comes to things that I didn't like, I wanted Godzilla and King Kong to spend more time together. Now, I know story-wise that probably wouldn't make much sense, but it felt like for most of this movie, Godzilla really didn't have anything to do. It felt more like a King Kong movie featuring Godzilla. Godzilla pretty much killed 2 monsters and then he fell asleep until Kong came back. The movie is about 2 hours long and the only time they came across each other was in like the last 30 or so minutes of the movie. Another thing that I don't like, I don't know if it's just me because I haven't seen too many people say this, but I thought the Scar King was lame as hell. Like, I wish they made him cooler. When he first came out, he looked so cool. He walked out like a badass like Conor McGregor. He even made fun of King Kong's tooth, but when he first beat up King Kong, I was like, oh snap. And then Kong got the better care of him, and then he had to call that Ice Godzilla or whatever, and then that's all he pretty much did the entire movie. Oh no, somebody wants to fight me one-on-one? No, I'm gonna have my pet fight you. Speaking of fighting, it was two separate parts where they gave us these interesting fights, and then they cut away and gave us off-screen deaths. Like when King Kong was in the water with the baby, he had to fight that giant dragon thing, and then with Godzilla, they were hyping up this legendary monster with razor sharp scales and blah blah blah. And for both of those, I feel like they cut away, and then it was like, hey, the good guys won. Also with Godzilla, it was no point in this movie where he ever felt like he was in danger. Godzilla whips everybody's ass, and he always spams that fire radioactive breath, which is always cool to see, but he does that every single fight. Like, have you ever fought somebody in Mortal Kombat and then they get you stuck in a corner and they just keep hitting you and spamming the same moves over and over again? That's what Godzilla does. But even with those complaints, I'm still looking forward to whatever the next movie's gonna be. As of this recording, it looks like the new Empire is gonna make about 194 million around the globe in its opening weekend. 114 of that is coming from international markets. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a critic score of 55% and a fan rating of 93%, which is absolutely crazy to me, but I get it. I'm leaning more with the critics on this one. I'm gonna give this movie a 6, which is above average on my scale. I feel like I would watch this movie again. The monsters were clearly the best part of this movie, and the action sequences were amazing. The humans were okay. The overall story was okay, but the fighting is the only thing that really saves this movie. I still wish that Kong and Godzilla spent more time together, but that gravity fight at the end of the movie was great. Godzilla suplexing King Kong in Egypt was great. Kong taking that baby monkey and then using him to slap the other monkeys, that was great. It's just that everything else in this movie was okay. But thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe if you're new here. We talk about a bunch of different things in this channel. What are your thoughts on this movie? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Also, this monster cinematic universe, this has to be the worst movie universe to live in, right? Like, how many people have died? Just think of this series. How many people have died in this series? In this movie alone, for that final scene when they were in Brazil or whatever, 300,000 people had to have died. The way they were just running through buildings, the way they were running through bridges, bro, everybody's dead. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Love you guys. Tell us when you love them. Until next time, see you in the next live.